August with their sale on athletic shoes. Get $15 off any regular priced athletic shoe with respected brands like Hoka, Brooks, New Balance, and On Running. Don't forget, Browns carries a large arrangement of sizes and widths to fit your feet properly. Start the fall season off right with the August Athletics Shoe Sale at Brown Shoe Fit, just south of 66th and Q in Lincoln.
IT issues wreaking havoc on your day? It's time to hire the experts. It's time to hire Hamilton. When it comes to your business, you don't have time to worry about network security, data backup, and protection, or support when devices slow down or stop working. At Hamilton, we ensure that your technology is up to speed and works as hard as you do. Don't let IT issues slow you down. You deserve better. Hire Hamilton at hamiltonisbusiness.com.
With the Planet Fitness Black Card, you don't just get a great workout, you get a great perk out because your membership is packed with perks. For $1 down and $24.99 a month, you'll get perks like access to any of our 2,400 clean and spacious locations. Bring a friend anytime and both work out with tons of equipment that'll give you that big fitness energy. Relax in the Black Card spa and more. Work out and perk out with the PF Black Card. Join for just $1 down and $24.99 a month.
Hurry, this deal ends soon.
See Home Club for details.
All right, it's time for Final Jeopardy. It's been a tight contest today that all comes down to this final question. No summer picnic or family get-together or trip to the lake is complete without this particular item. Let's go first to Bob.
What is beer?
No, that's not it. Think about the kids. Over to you, Farley.
What is corn on the cob?
Tough to grill that on a boat. Wrong again. Grace, this time for the win.
What is Bureau's cheese spread?
We have a winner! Bureau's cheese spread, available in most local grocers in Nebraska.
Start your Sundays off right with Jeff and Nicole Essink on Fitness Fanatics. Jeff and Nicole discuss health and wellness, how to achieve fitness goals, and more through the life of gym owners and gym goers. It's Fitness Fanatics from 9 to 11 a.m. on Sundays on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
This is the Happy Hour.
You guys going to happy hour?
Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America.
Yeah, I'll come for a couple.
Here are your hosts, Nick Sainert.
I am a huge guy.
And Enrique Alvarez Clary.
C is for chunk.
Brought to you by Empire Fence and Netting on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome in. Happy Friday.
Hold on, here.
This is the happy hour. 93.7 The Ticket. Hey, hold up. You're on air. You are on air.
Yeah.
You got a hot mic
right now. Everybody out there at Ticketland, between me and Nick, it is war for 2024 all the way to 2025. Okay, for a year from now,
didn't do anything.
We are. It is on
teaching lessons.
The practical jokes, talking about the turf monster, showing the video. I have PTSD from that, Rico.
I'm sorry. He brings it up whenever he can.
And here's how bad it is. Somebody came up to me in high V. This is an honest to God truth.
Oh no!
And asked me about the turf monster.
Nick.
And every time I stub my toe or trip a little bit, I think of it. Now it's war.
Okay.
I'm calling all Pius X alumni, friends, baseball alumni. Text me from 4 to 6 on the text line. Starter Hammond text line. And we're going to congregate, and I want everything and anything on Nick Sainer.
You say dirt on Nick?
Yeah.
We'll just text his mom.
I do have something from when we were at Wings.
Okay. Hey. That's what I'm talking about, Rico. See you later, Jay. Get out of here. Hey, all I'm going to say is Jay tried to take a knee in the production studio. This is what brought this up. Jay tried to take a knee in the production studio. He almost fell over trying to go down on one knee. And Bella goes, "Oh, I thought you were going to fall." And I go, "Yeah, the worst thing is there's not even turf to trip him up." That's all I said to Jay. That is all I said that started this. And then I said, "Bella, go ask Jay about 1996 Oklahoma."
Nick, one of these days that PTSD is gonna get him, and you're gonna say something
so bad.
You're gonna say something, and he's gonna snap.
We're all gonna be.
It's gonna be in the production studio, and me and Austin are gonna be sitting there. And we're just gonna look at each other and we're gonna be like, He brought it on himself.
I got witnesses.
He brought it on himself.
That's what's most important is I have witnesses in that case.
No, the thing is we're going to see it, but we also didn't see anything. Sorry, I don't know what happened. I blacked out for
That's right.
how long were you getting beat?
So did I. I blacked out too. I don't remember what happened. Anyway,
So did Jay.
402-464-5685. The Honda of Lincoln hotline and the starter Heyman text line are open for you guys. The entire show today, Big Slim does ask YouTube or says YouTube is going to be popping that day.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll have black eyes and
Look,
bruises.
so this little sign behind me right here, we're going to drop that. We're going to zoom out a little bit with the camera, and you're just going to see into the production studio.
Exactly.
And whenever it happens, whoever's on the board is just going to be like, oh, what's going on over there?
I don't know what's happening.
Oh, God.
You're going to see me, and then I'll be
And then you won't see
count. Hidden underneath the counter.
And then you'll just see Jay.
Jay doesn't scare me. Anyway, 464-5685.
There's nowhere else to go. If he comes in that door, there's nowhere else to go.
That's right. Because you can close the door and I can't go anywhere. 464-5685. Honda Lincoln hotline, the starter Heyman text line are open for you guys, as well as the starter Heyman Jewelers live video stream, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Allo channel 961, all places for you guys to see what's going on inside the studio. You can always follow myself and Rico on Twitter, Nick_Sainer, or at Radio Rico AC on the good old X machine. We have plenty of stuff to get to today. I want to actually really incorporate the text line today. It's a Friday. We're all feeling good. I really want to incorporate the text line in the second segment of the show. You can also chime in on the first segment, obviously. We're 2 weeks out. 2 weeks from Nebraska versus UTEP. 2 weeks from tomorrow, specifically. What are our biggest just takeaways so far? What are our biggest thoughts? I got to see Nebraska in practice today, earlier in the day today, before Marcus Satterfield and all the coaches and players spoke to the media. We got to see about 20-25 minutes of practice earlier today, took some pictures, watched some one-on-one drills between wide receivers, linebackers, in this case, which mostly was tight ends versus linebackers, and then running backs versus linebackers. Some offensive guys stood out to me. Some other ones did not. Some defenders did not stand out to me necessarily. Also didn't have a great showing. But really want to, and if you send them in now, we'll kind of just put them on the back burner and get to them in the second segment for sure. But just overall curiosities. What are you guys looking for and wanting to know, I guess? And maybe we're able to answer some of those questions. Maybe we're not. But we can definitely visit every single idea within reason on the text line that's sent in. So 402-464-5685. We used to do the tip jar where it was just random thoughts. It's essentially a tip jar just centered on Nebraska football.
Mostly football centered tip jar. Mostly.
It is a football centered tip jar.
Mostly.
That is what we're going to do. In the first segment, though, we definitely want to hear from Marcus Satterfield, Nebraska's offensive coordinator. There's plenty of stuff that he was asked today, quarterbacks, offensive line. Sipple and I walked by the offensive line doing drills earlier this morning.
Did you notice Justin Evans?
Noticed Justin Evans for sure.
Oh, that's a problem. You're not supposed to notice him.
I'm not supposed to notice him.
That's what Satterfield said.
I did notice him, big number 51. I also noticed Jacob Hood. Jacob Hood, obviously the transfer from Georgia two off seasons ago. Jacob Hood, big fella, like very big.
Yeah.
Now there's also been conversations behind the scenes, I think, of maybe being a little overweight,
too big
at times, a little overweight at times, which may have hindered his ability to just see the field or even the potential to see the field. But ultimately, I saw Jacob Hood today, and there's a difference between the size of like a Teddy Prohaska, where he was 6'10", and obviously Teddy Prohaska thoughts, unfortunately, just as he undergoes the fourth knee rehab this offseason, and during this season, frankly. But also Jacob Hood just is big. And Sipple made a comment where he was like, man, you just think that like the opportunity at generational wealth would make you want to get out there. And I thought about that with a lot of these guys on Nebraska's roster. A lot of the ones that either, whether it's mentality purposes, whether it's, and I guess mentality is kind of the end all be all, but mentality purposes or their willingness to get their body right,
compete.
Yeah, that too. Just overall.
Well, like all of that falls into the willingness to compete, whether it's compete to get onto the field, competing on the field, competing to get your body right in order to get more time in practice, to then get onto, like, it's all a competition once you decide that you're going to play a sport. Once you decide that you're going to go to college and be a part of a sport, and even in high school, it's a competition wherever you are, whether you're on the field, on the court, off the field, off the court, in the classroom. It's a competition because every single day, and you've heard the quote, if you're not working, there's somebody else who is working.
Well, my thing also, just like speaking of bringing the money into it, right, is the thing that the opportunity that NIL provides student athletes with is great. It's great in the off season, and it's frankly great in the in season. But also, what are you doing to add to the value, right? Like, you'll have this certain number value, and we hear about commits and recruits getting NIL offers and deals for the guy Josh Perry, who just committed to Georgia Tech as an offensive lineman, reportedly 3 years, $800,000 a year, which in that contract for Georgia Tech. And it's like, you hear those things, but also it's something of like, once you get a taste, don't you want more? Like, don't you, isn't there some sort of competitive bone in your body? And I think, you kind of have to, if you want to play at this level. There's a competitive bone in your body, not only to say, yeah, you know what, deep down, I know that I have more value than the next guy, but then to work at it and be able to get that, I guess, how do I want to put it? The reward in terms of playing time, to get that, isn't there some sort of like itch that you want to scratch?
Yeah, then to up your own value. Like, okay, you're worth $800,000 to this program right now. Cool. What about next year? If you can get on the field right away and you can perform, are you worth more? Could you demand more? And then when you get to that's really what it is at the professional level. Like, yes, it's the want to be great at whatever sport and be the best at whatever sport you're playing. But at the same time, it's okay, your contract's coming up. How much more money are you going to get? How much longer down your family line, down the lineage of your family, is your family going to be fine with money because of what you did during that X amount of years that you were able to compete at this high of a level? And, people want to say, oh, well, they're getting paid, they're not going to work as hard. Like you just said, there's that itch to like, okay, I got paid this much. I want more. I want more money. I want to be even better so that they pay me more. Like, I feel like that has to be a part of it as well.
Like, I think, okay, not to bring myself into this, I think, like, I'm sitting here trying to get my body better, right? It's like, now that I'm getting to a point where I can notice change, I'm like, I have more motivation now than when I started to continue picking it up. And it's like, so that's like that's one of the analogies that I could think of, not money related. And even for just athletes, even if NIL is not involved, isn't there just when you're talking about, when you're on a team and isn't there a competitive bone in your body to where it's, if I'm not on the field for 2-3 years, don't I want to figure out a way to get on the field? Like, I just think, like, Nebraska, and this is what Matt Rule, I guess, and their staff is trying to do with this, like, competitive mantra that they've continued to preach, where you're competing every day and nothing is handed to you and all that coach speak, right? Is that can't be allowed. Like, DP always says it every single time, but it's either coached or allowed. You can't allow guys to be comfortable with sitting the bench for 2 years, or not for a productive reason.
I mean,
like, there's a difference between a freshman offensive lineman getting on campus and getting his body right that might take 2 years.
Yeah, needing to put on X amount of weight.
And because of depth, maybe he just doesn't give you the best chance to win. There's a difference between that and somebody that's just taking up a roster spot. They're happy to be there. They're not really striving for anything. They might say they are, but they're doing the bare minimum.
But it's you're doing just enough to
stick around.
You're doing just enough to not stick out on either end of the spectrum.
I think it's really, really, something that Nebraska and every college football program, college program in general, despite the sport, I think you're probably working towards.
I mean, that's what we spoke with Steve Mark with the other day, and you guys can go back and listen to that on the podcast page if you go to theticketfm.com and download the podcast for the happy hour. Steve Mark He was talking about when Matt Rule was talking about Prince Will Umamielen, where he said, he doesn't want him to get comfortable. He doesn't want him to coast. Like, yes, you had a decent year one. You had some ups, you had some downs. Now is the time that you really need to lock in and take yourself to the next level. Get yourself away from the group and show that you belong at this next level. Like, you don't want to have that sophomore slump, right? And that's a danger for a lot of guys, because if they did have a breakout freshman year and then they coast, they're like, oh, I did it, I made it. All of a sudden, your second year, people have film on you. They have all these things on you. They're coming at you differently. And it's like, oh, wait a minute. I do have to work harder. I do have to get better. I have to add to my toolbox of whatever I'm doing.
I think also just Nebraska, if you're winning games, you're going to bring in higher level recruits that maybe feel like I deserve to play more. And whether that's a good thing, once again, just as we talked about, there's a difference between just being happy to be there and then actually working for it. There's a difference between having the confidence to come into a room, whether you're a transfer, whether you're a true freshman, and feeling like, you know what, I'm the best guy in this room. I'm the best athlete. I'm the best wide receiver. I'm the best offensive lineman. Whatever. There's a line between the confidence and the arrogance, and Nebraska's got to figure out a way to where they bring in a good blend of guys that not only provide the experience in college football, whether that's through guys that have been in the program for multiple years or transfers. They have to find a good blend of those types of players, but then also the ones that are going to come in day one and push those experienced guys. And it takes time, I'm sure. I'm sure it takes time to find a good blend. And not to give credit to Scott Frost, and I'm not really, a lot of programs do this. You have to weed out the ones that don't fit. You have to weed them out. And so in a way, from a program perspective, transfer portal can be beneficial because it can make it easier to not only add the correct type of guys once you kind of have an idea of who are we searching for, but then also it can provide opportunities for those players that, hey, at the end of the day, there's no hard feelings, but this is not the place for you.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of different avenues we can have with that conversation. 402-464-5685. This is where we want you guys to come in. We can definitely get to Satterfield in the next segment. We have a couple of questions, couple of thoughts that have entered the text line that we will get to right out of the break. But once again, it's kind of like a tip jar text thing where if you guys have any thoughts on whether it's NIL, whether it's Nebraska football, whether it's Nebraska volleyball, we don't care. Keep it sports centric. We'll do that. 402-464-5685. We'll try our best just to give thoughts on the topics, right? We got some questions about the defensive back room. Some of these we can just kind of formulate our own, kind of dance around the specific question, because obviously we don't want to call anybody out specifically by name, but we'll be able to kind of give our thoughts on just some things that you guys specifically, whether you're driving, whether you're sitting at a table, whether you're sitting at the cubicle, whatever spot that you find yourself in currently. Send us a text, 402-464-5685. We'll share our brief thoughts on this one when we come back. So once again, chime in at that Starter Heyman Jewelers text line. You can always follow the show on the Starter Heyman Jewelers live video stream, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Allo Channel 961. And you can always reach out to Rico and myself on X, on Twitter, Nick_Sainer, and at Radio Rico AC. Let's step aside, come right back, and continue Nebraska football conversation after this on 93.7 The Ticket.
Follow Nick and Enrique on Twitter at Nick_Sainert and at Radio Rico AC. More of Happy Hour is next on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Are you looking to get into the electrical construction industry or wanting a new scene? The electrical workers of Local Union 265 are now hiring licensed journeymen and apprentices and are offering great pay and benefits. Call Mike at 402-875-1034 to apply. Start your electrical career today. Start your Sundays off right with Jeff and Nicole Essink on Fitness Fanatics. Jeff and Nicole discuss health and wellness, how to achieve fitness goals, and more through the life of gym owners and gym goers. It's Fitness Fanatics from 9 to 11 a.m. on Sundays on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Nebraska State Veterans Homes are here to serve veterans, their spouses, surviving spouses, and Gold Star parents. Join your fellow veterans and their families at one of our homes in Bellevue, Kearney, Norfolk, or Scottsbluff. With a sliding scale to determine your financial contribution, an excellent clinical team, and plenty of fun activities, our homes are the perfect retirement choice. Learn more at veterans.nebraska.gov/homes. Sponsored by the Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Alexa, play 93.7 The Ticket.
Okay. Playing 93.7 The Ticket.
Alexa, turn down the lights.
Dimming the lights.
Alexa, order a pizza. The big one. All the toppings.
Are you sure that's a good idea?
Alexa.
That's a lot of pizza for just one man.
Alexa, just do it. Stop judging me, just do it.
As you wish.
Thanks, Alexa. You're my best friend.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and Truck Month is back. We have absolutely gigantic savings right now at Koppel. They are offering $12,500 off on select new pickups. That is not a mistake. You heard right. $12,500 off list price right now on select new pickups. Those discounted units, though, will not last long. These are all manager specials. You have to come in now, so hurry in down 144th Street or shop online at koppelcars.com. You'll be glad you did. Stock number G356093 must trade.
Old School with DP and J.
And, this part of camp it happens in high school camp, when they have a certain amount of time before their game, before school starts and all that. And then it happens in college and it happens in the pros. I had more fights with some of my good friends, the guys that I'm considered lifelong friends at this point in camp, than with some over-energized rookie trying to make a name for himself. Seriously.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Last year, Linked Literacy's first annual Word Stock event welcomed 600 people to this community-wide book swap at Antelope Park. It was made possible by the generosity of our donors. Donations are needed for this year's event on August 24th to provide food trucks, table rentals, book bags, and more. This allows us to offer free books to the public for both kids and adults while enjoying all the fun and festivities to promote community connections. Give today by going to linktoliteracy.org. You'll be making an impact through the power of literacy.
As a proud member of the Roofing and Solar Reform Alliance, Coalition Restoration stands out by providing thorough property assessments, personalized customer service, and top-notch craftsmanship. With years of experience in the industry, Coalition Restoration has built a notable reputation for having a team filled with skilled professionals and possessing the expertise to handle any roofing project, big or small. Visit their website today for a free roof assessment at www.coalitionrestoration.com or give them a call at 402-607-8186.
On the Block with Strick and Austin.
The kicker from Iowa, I don't know. What's his name?
Yeah, what's his name?
What's his name?
What's his name?
Help me!
No, you need to give the name for your
I
boy.
don't know.
Tory Taylor.
Tory Taylor.
Yeah, and you didn't say that.
That's what I meant.
It's how you said.
But I said Iowa.
But you didn't get the guy's name.
But what does
We're
that
asking
mean?
for the name.
I gave the team and the player.
You did not give the player. You gave the team and the position.
This is a cheat.
Weekdays from 2 to 4 on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Perch Merch is your one-stop shop for all your printing and promotional needs in Lincoln, Nebraska. They specialize in screen printing, embroidery, vehicle wraps, window wraps, print collateral, promotional products, and signage. At Perch Merch, they are committed to delivering high-quality products and exceptional customer service. Their experienced team of designers and printing professionals will work with you every step of the way to ensure that your vision is realized. Call for a quote today at 402-217-5212 or go to perch-merch.com.
Early break with Sip and Jake.
I tried to get in the car down in Dallas. Tried to get in the guy was in the car. He got in the car. I got a big gulp and some. And I got a big
Fiddled around.
trying to get the guy. I opened the door. The guy's looking at me like, "What the hell are you doing?"
You're lucky you look congenial.
And I kind of look like, see why?
Yeah.
See, same car. See it. And he's like,
Early break with Sip and Jake from 6 to 8 every weekday morning on 93.7 The Ticket.
Everyone should have a collection of something. For some, it's stamps or coins, expensive cars, or even watches. But for a lot of people, it's sports cards. And there's no better way to grow your collection than with the help of Capital City Sports Cards, Lincoln's first and only collector-first sports cards and memorabilia shop. Capital City Sports Cards connects collectors of all ages and demographics with unique collectibles sure to bring any collection to life, no matter the budget. Visit Capital City Sports Cards near 56th and Old Cheney or through their eBay storefront. Capital City Sports Cards, Lincoln's premier sports card and memorabilia store.
Looking for a place to host a one-of-a-kind private game day experience for your staff or clients? Courtyard Marriott downtown is just blocks from the stadium and steps away from all the fanfare. You'll enjoy use of an entire entertainment space, including outdoor courtyard, accommodations for 250-plus guests. Party starts 3 hours before kickoff, and they'll clean up while you go and enjoy the game. Call Courtyard Marriott at 402-904-4800 for more info or to book your pregame party today. Limited dates available.
You're listening to the Happy Hour with Nick Sainert and Enrique Alvarez Clary.
This isn't the real Caesar's Palace, is it?
What do you mean?
Did Caesar live here?
No.
I didn't think so.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back into the Happy Hour, 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. Nick Sainert and Rico with you, 402-464-5685. The Honda Lincoln Hotline and the Starter Heyman text line open for you guys the entire show today. Definitely want to get you guys involved in this segment of Friday's show here in just a moment. One thing I did want to mention was Nebraska soccer last night fell 2-0 to Oklahoma State. Obviously, Nebraska soccer listed 6th in the country. They lose their first match of the year 2-0 to the Oklahoma State Cowgirls. So there's that piece. I also took advantage yesterday, Rico. Maybe this is not good to announce on the air.
Oh, no.
I took advantage of a promo code that was sent to me for a free year of Big Ten Plus.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of those, and I think I might take advantage of one of those also. Whose did you take advantage of?
Well, I have a friend.
Which of the four new schools?
I have a friend that it works for one of them, and they gave it to us. They gave us the promo code.
Yeah,
So
well, you could have. You could have got
Oregon.
the USC one if you. Yeah, okay, that's the one I was going to use.
I'm the Oregon Ducks promo code.
Yeah, I didn't use the USC one. I know UCLA put one out too.
Okay,
so Oregon just put theirs out. I'm sure Washington in the next few days or in like a week will put theirs out as well.
I have been, and I set a event on my calendar for August 1st, 2025.
Hey,
it says cancel Big Ten Plus.
Hey, I did that once
so that I don't pay $90 on August 15th
for Big Ten Plus.
For Big Ten Plus,
I did that with a
because it should be a free thing
with a website subscription to some newsy place.
There you go.
Yeah,
local.
No.
Might be.
Anyway, yes and no. It's a
So,
national one, but there's some local flair.
Yeah, Ham and Beans. I mean, yeah, you're right. Ham and Beans. They have been out since before Big Ten Media Days. They have been. Here's the thing, though. It doesn't feel morally correct.
Why not? They put it out there.
I'm a big Oregon fan. I love the Ducks.
I'll watch Oregon. Hey, if Oregon's play, or thing is, Oregon's not going to be Oregon football. At least is not going to be playing on Big Ten Plus.
No, rarely football games do.
Yeah,
rarely football games.
You gonna watch
do.
some Oregon basketball?
It's a lot of like the women's basketball, baseball, softball.
You'll be able to catch Nebraska and Oregon softball and baseball on Big Ten Plus probably.
That's usually when I started to like subscribe, and I would just do like the single school pass.
I wonder if they'll have track on Big Ten Plus.
I would imagine so.
I know that it was all like Flow Track, and I don't want to get a subscription to Flow.
Flow is not
Flow Sports.
Yeah, I'm out on
no
Flow.
bueno.
That's where all the preseason or early season baseball tournaments are. Baseball and softball.
Yeah.
Are on Flow.
Not
I don't
great.
watch it. Anyway, 4645685. All right, let's get to some of these because I would love to see where your guys' heads are at on a couple of these. Got a question about the defensive back room, and specifically about a certain freshman climbing the ladder, pushing for playing time. I would say this. I think we've talked extensively about the defensive back room on the drive a couple of days ago. We did so, and I think like while there's probably 3 of the spots that are truly not locked down in terms of like Deshaun Singleton is a name we'll talk quite often about. Tommy Hill, obviously, at one cornerback spot. And then Isaac Gifford is the other one. You also have Marquise Buford Jr., who's going to be there. You also, we've heard multiple times from Tony White in press conferences about Amari Sanders, a freshman trying to make waves there. And so if I were to say one freshman that's really trying to kind of boost himself up in that secondary, it would be Amari Sanders. I think there's a couple of other ones that are intriguing. Some of the younger guys. I said it earlier this week, though. There are 33 guys on Nebraska's roster listed at defensive back.
That's crazy.
And while Bly Hill probably was going to be the guy opposite of Tommy Hill prior to his injury in the spring game, still, we know that Nebraska, at least last year in Tony White's defense, liked to sub out a lot. And they're going to need guys to not only stay healthy, but specifically step up and say, okay, you know what? I'm going to be that kind of main staple in the second group. They need that. And heck, they even needed a spot in the first group. And going back to the conversation we had just last segment about being competitive, figure out a way to challenge one of those guys. Just because Isaac Gifford's a senior and has been here and is looked at as one of the leaders on the defense doesn't mean that either one, he can't be pushed for a starting job or pushed for playing time. Also, number two, I think if you talk to Isaac Gifford, he wants that. I think there's certain guys on this team that welcome that challenge.
That competition will only make you better. As you hear year after year, iron sharpens iron. And that'd be the only way that would be happening is if somebody's pushing him for playing time. Maybe not legitimately pushing for playing time, but at least pushing him to improve what he is not good at so that maybe he wouldn't have to leave the field at any point in time because there's one person who's better at something than he is. And remember, just because, a freshman doesn't start the first game or gets a ton of playing time in the first few games doesn't mean that they won't have an impact later in the season, a la Malcolm Hartzog.
Yeah, that's a name I forgot to mention. Malcolm Hartzog is up there. Even a redshirt freshman, DeAndre Barnes from the state of Colorado, a couple of years ago, where Marcus Satterfield was actually the lead recruiter on that one. DeAndre Barnes is one. Kobe Bretz, who is a redshirt junior now. This is his fourth year in the program from Omaha West Side. Came in as a recruit, right? Obviously, Kobe Bretz is who we're talking about. Tony White talked about him in a special teams capacity and how he's kind of been really a staple in the special teams part of practices. But who knows, right? Like there's so much opportunity there. And I think coaches a lot of times like to say that there's opportunity when they might have their depth chart already kind of solidified. But I think especially the defensive back room, since we were asked specifically about that, I think there's a lot of opportunities there for some younger guys. Even like Jeremiah Charles, who's a redshirt freshman, potentially. Can Jeremiah Charles kind of find his way onto the field in that second, maybe even third group that goes out, if there is a third group? And if there's not, if there's a lot of uncertainty in that second group, maybe that's an indicative on maybe how the staff feels about some of those younger guys, and how much work those younger guys still have to do. Once again, 464-5685. All right, next one. Let's continue on. Derek in a car he says, I'm in a truck today, but my tip jar question is this. I have great confidence that the team will be much improved on offense, particularly in the run and tight end passing game. However, I'm not predicting 7-0 as start as many are. I believe 5-2 could still result in a 9-3 season because the offense will continue to improve weekly with more reps. Defense will need to carry the team for the first 2 months. What say you? Great show. Thank you, Derek in a truck today.
Derek in a truck.
I haven't gotten into we haven't gotten into the record talk yet, and I don't really want to.
I don't like record talk.
In the next couple of weeks. I think, especially where Nebraska's been at, go 1 week at a time. If you're asking me, do I think Nebraska beats UTEP? I would say resoundingly yes.
No respect for the Miners?
No.
Come on. El Paso's beautiful this time of year.
I would also say,
I don't know if that's true.
I would also say that UTEP is currently a 28-point underdog to Nebraska. So either that tells you a lot about how maybe the books feel about Nebraska, but also how they feel about UTEP and UTEP's ability to come up to Lincoln and get a win, or at least keep it close. So he mentions, Derek obviously mentions, defense will need to carry the team for the first 2 months. What say you? I think this is not a cop-out answer. I think it's pretty, I think you could say the same for both. And I think you could argue the same for both. And what I mean by that, the defense carried the team at all times last year. But they also had to carry the team because the offense put them in so many negative spots. And they just put them in so many tough spots right out of the gate.
I do not disagree with Derek, but I don't think it'll be the first 2 months. I think the first couple games, as the offense gets used to it, as Dylan Raiola gets used to playing with people when, it's live reps against a team that's not guys that personally and are
Trying to
on
take
your
'em out.
team. Yeah, with guys who are actually trying to take you out. I think that those first few games will be something that will help integrate him into that, and that the offense will not get their groove, but get to a point where they won't need to be carried per se after the first couple of games. Now, we were talking earlier on the drive about the Illinois, Purdue, Rutgers 3-game stretch, which is just going to be a extremely difficult defensive or offensive test for Nebraska going against some defensive-minded head coaches, some
Yes.
hard-nosed defenses. At least that's what you would think of with those coaches and with those teams. That's going to be tough, but I do believe that within the first couple of games, the defense will have to carry the Nebraska team, but the offense will find something to get it going and won't necessarily have to jump in the backpack.
I think when you look at Nebraska's offense, there's question marks, and this is why I lean more towards offense might have to. I mean, they need to pick up the weight. I mean, the coaches have talked about it. They need to pick up their share. I would say that in week 1, you don't have to be. Doesn't need to be perfect.
No,
I think like Nebraska. Now, granted, a 0 turnover type of performance is probably what Nebraska needs right out of the gate. They probably need that out of the gate, a 0 or 1 turnover type of performance. You can't have the average of turning it over 2.5 times a game like they did last year. And a lot of that comes on the offensive side. The fact that Nebraska, and we'll revisit this until it's not an applicable statistic anymore, and that won't be until the season begins. Nebraska's defense, the fact that they were a top 25 total defense last year, and Nebraska then conversely was minus 17 on turnover margin, is pretty fascinating. It's pretty fascinating. And the idea that Nebraska could have been a bowl team if they were just, as we know, 3 points better once in a lot of the games. The fact that they could have been a bowl team with the defense that they had, but then also with the turnover issues that they had, is pretty remarkable at times. I think the defense can do their usual thing, and Nebraska's going to be just where they were last year. I would say that pretty confidently. You look at it, they're returning quite a few guys on defense. They're returning guys like Ty Robinson, Nash Hutmaker, Jamari Butler. I could go down the list of Javen Wright, John Bullock, Tommy Hill, Isaac Gifford, Marquise Buford, Malcolm Hartzog. There's a lot of names there that are returning. Oh, don't forget the Cameron Lenharts, the Prince Will Uman Mielens of the world. Elijah Judy has another year in the program. Riley Van Poppel, who saw time last year, burnt his red shirt, didn't use his red shirt because he played more than 4 games.
Don't forget to Deshaun Singleton, who was your starter at the beginning of the season, then got hurt.
So those are, I mean, we just rattled off more than 11 guys. I think if Nebraska defense does their part, and I see, from a program evolution standpoint, you don't want to take steps back. So if the defense does the same thing, just taking what we know, and is a top 30, top 35 defense statistically, then I look at the offense and go, okay, it's time for you guys to pick it up. It's time for the running backs and the offensive line and the wide receivers to pick it up.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, the staff went out and got a quarterback's coach, and they went out and got a couple of transfer wideouts and even a transfer running back in Dante Dowdell, and a 5-star quarterback. So they addressed the needs, but they also already are suffering from an injury on the left tackle position. And if guys get hurt, which we know is part of football, how are you going to respond? Because it cannot be the response that it was last year, where Nebraska would go out there with one quarterback and they'd look a little energized, and then the quarterback would get hurt and the whole team would collapse offensively, or so careless with that football. And I'll say this, going to practice today, there was one point where I was somewhat impressed, and they were doing such a small thing. And I think if you probably ask a lot of football coaches, including the ones that we have in this building, I think if you ask a lot of them, it's a minor thing that doesn't really mean a whole lot. And it was that when they were doing the one-on-one drills with running backs against linebackers or tight ends against linebackers, the linebacker, because the defense, to their in part, needs to do better at taking away the football, every single ball that was on the ground, whether it was a dropped pass, whether it was just an incomplete pass, whether it was deflected, even if the play was over, Tony White was yelling to them to go get that football. It could be, it ran at one, or excuse me, the football bounced inside the Hawks training center at one point. And Tony White yelled at one of the linebackers to go get that football and to run. There was a point where, if I can find the number, I don't have the paper anymore. There was a guy that turned around and started walking back to the line when the ball bounced in the end zone. And they're probably sitting at the 35-yard line or so. The ball was overthrown by one of Nebraska's quarterbacks. And Tony White yelled multiple times, the ball is on the ground. Go run your bleeping bleep over and pick it up. And so there's like that piece of it, the pursuit. So there's a lot where probably Nebraska could get a little bit better at.
Find ball, get ball.
There you go. Let's hope so.
Simple.
There was one more that before we get to break, I want to talk about. There was one. Okay, 2651 says you got a different topic, but do you guys have a list of the baseball recruits for Nebraska for 2025? Specifically interested in a kid from Colorado. So they do a really bad job at tracking Nebraska or just baseball recruitment in general. Obviously, there's some of the top guys that you know from JUCOs and things like that. I could tell you the commits, their Perfect Game creates a list or holds a list of recent commitments. Nebraska for the 2025 season, for the 2025 class, currently has 14 commitments, a couple from Lincoln East High School, a lot of local flavor from the Lincoln and around the surrounding areas. Joey Senstock from Lincoln East. You also have Carter Mick from Lincoln East. Drew Grego from Bellevue West we saw. Noah Gartner from Millard South. Cal Cooper from Elkhorn South. Connor Booth from Bishop Newman Central. A couple guys from Scott, Elkhorn area as well. Papillion La Vista. The outside of the state, Reed Strohmeyer, a 6'3" shortstop, hits left, throws right from Hempstead High School in Dubuque, Iowa. You also have Blake Sebastian, who's a 6'5" right-handed hurler from Shawnee Mission, Kansas. That plays down there, Kansas City, Overland Park area, a factory for baseball talent. Brad Janus from 6'1" right-handed thrower from DeSoto High School in Lenexa, Kansas. Let me see. We got a couple more here. One, a catcher, Carter Coots from Hartford High School in Hartford, Wisconsin, 6'3", 185-pound catcher who's currently committed to the Nebraska Cornhuskers. That's 2025. 2026, the Nebraska has 4 of them. Brody Gindra, a shortstop from Elkhorn South, Charlie Ziola from Creighton Prep, Cal Anthony from Creighton Prep, and then Bryce Fountain from Norris is Cale Fountain's younger brother is currently committed to Nebraska. So that's per Perfect Game. But you know, those things subject to change, and they do a really bad job just nationally. And it's maybe one thing just really difficult to track because it doesn't get the attention like football does, like men's basketball does. Difficult to track baseball, softball, lower level sports recruiting.
A lot of sports don't get that much love in terms of recruiting sites and,
You're right.
keeping a record of who is what. Like you said, it's mostly football, men's basketball. Women's basketball has that a little bit, but I think they might have like top 100 recruits and that's it. So yeah, it's a little tougher for some of those other sports, and baseball is one of them. So maybe you just have to go back and look up commitment Nebraska Huskers on X and baseball and see what you get.
A man named Ashley asks, are you guys going to be dropping a Husker hype video slash audio before the season?
I don't know, maybe.
Okay, yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
Maybe. Mr. Cub says, good luck canceling Big Ten Plus. It's like falling into a black hole. That's why I give myself 2 weeks to do it. I've canceled it a couple of times.
Quinn Sanders on YouTube says about the Big Ten Plus sub, you can go in and delete your payment information online so it won't pull anyways.
Oh, how about that?
Thanks, Quinn Sanders. Quinn Sanders also says, question, do you think Nebraska will have a running back who can push to be on the same level of Roy Halou, who rushed for 307 against number 7 Mizzou?
Let's talk about that with Austin and Strick.
Yeah,
we'll do that.
We'll
do that coming up next as we get you ready for the next show on the block with Strick and Austin. Coming up next, we'll talk running backs on 93.7 The Ticket.
Download our app by searching 93.7 The Ticket in your app store to stay in touch and listen all day long wherever you are. More of the happy hour is next on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. 93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
The Lincoln forecast for today, we'll see increasing cloud cover as the day wears on. See an afternoon high around 91. Tonight, mostly clear and calm with low around 63. And tomorrow, we'll see lots of sunshine and light winds with an afternoon high around 87. I'm meteorologist Kyle Klecker for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Hey, Nebraska football fans, it's defensive lineman Ty Robinson, and I've got a winning play for you with Action Plumbing, Heating, AC, and Electrical. Team up with Action and install a new Bradford white water heater in your home. And if we win the conference championship this season, you'll get a full refund. Don't fumble this opportunity. Sack your old water heater this season and score big with Action. Visit actionlincoln.com/Huskers to learn more.
Promotion valid for a limited time. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
You can help fight deadly diseases like RSV and influenza while getting paid for your time. Velocity Clinical Research is now seeking clinical trial participants in your area. Participants can receive compensation for study-related time. No health insurance is needed to join. Find a study near you at velocitytrials.com. That's velocitytrials.com.
Looking for a place to host a one-of-a-kind private game day experience for your staff or clients? Courtyard Marriott downtown is just blocks from the stadium and steps away from all the fanfare. You'll enjoy use of an entire entertainment space, including outdoor courtyard, accommodations for 250-plus guests. Party starts 3 hours before kickoff, and they'll clean up while you go and enjoy the game. Call Courtyard Marriott at 402-904-4800 for more info or to book your pregame party today. Limited dates available.
Everyone should have a collection of something. For some, it's stamps or coins, expensive cars, or even watches. But for a lot of people, it's sports cards. And there's no better way to grow your collection than with the help of Capital City Sports Cards, Lincoln's first and only collector-first sports cards and memorabilia shop. Capital City Sports Cards connects collectors of all ages and demographics with unique collectibles sure to bring any collection to life, no matter the budget. Visit Capital City Sports Cards near 56th and Old Cheney or through their eBay storefront. Capital City Sports Cards, Lincoln's premier sports card and memorabilia store.
Not many businesses can say they've made it 60 years, but Madsen's Bowling and Billiards can. With 12 bowling lanes and the biggest pool room in Nebraska, where else would you go to enjoy an afternoon or evening? There's a great daily specials like $2 Tuesdays, games of bowling, shoe rentals, draft beers, and tacos, all just $2 each. Have a delicious burger at EJ's Lounge before or after your bowling or pool session, and you'll leave satisfied. Madsen's Bowling and Billiards at 47th and Dudley.
Play ball! Looking for the ultimate change-up from the typical family night? How about a Grand Slam good time with friends and coworkers? Then unleash the fun at Haymarket Park with an action-packed, thrilling season of Salt Dogs baseball. Choose from 50 home games now through August with daily and weekly specials your whole pack can enjoy, including group discounts. Don't miss out on the magic and the excitement. Strike three, you're out! Visit saltdogs.com to reserve your tickets today. Unleash the fun.
Wall to Wall Wine and Spirits is your place in North Lincoln to go for all your needs in wine, spirits, and beer. They also have a large variety of cigars in their walk-in humidor, and they have a top-notch walk-in, temperature-controlled, high-end wine bar. Plus, you can enjoy free samples from their tasting bar. There's only one place to go for all your needs for wine, beer, spirits, and cigars. Wall to Wall Wine and Spirits on North 27th Street in Lincoln.
With the Planet Fitness Black Card, you don't just get a great workout, you get a great perk out because your membership is packed with perks. For $1 down and $24.99 a month, you'll get perks like access to any of our 2,400 clean and spacious locations. Bring your friend anytime and both work out with tons of equipment that'll give you that big fitness energy. Relax in the Black Card spa and more. Work out and perk out with the PF Black Card. Join for just $1 down and $24.99 a month. Hurry, this deal ends soon. See Home Club for details.
Nebraska State Veterans Homes are here to serve veterans, their spouses, surviving spouses, and Gold Star parents. Join your fellow veterans and their families at one of our homes in Bellevue, Kearney, Norfolk, or Scottsbluff. With a sliding scale to determine your financial contribution, an excellent clinical team, and plenty of fun activities, our homes are the perfect retirement choice. Learn more at veterans.nebraska.gov/homes. Sponsored by the Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Early break with Sip and Jake.
I tried to get in the car down in Dallas. Tried to get in the guy was in the car. In the car. I got a big gulp and some. And I got a big
fiddled around.
trying to get the guy. I opened the door. The guy's looking at me like, "What the hell are you doing?"
You're lucky you look congenial.
And I kind of look like, see why?
Yeah.
See, same car. See it. And he's like,
Early break with Sip and Jake from 6 to 8 every weekday morning on 93.7 The Ticket.
As a proud member of the Roofing and Solar Reform Alliance, Coalition Restoration stands out by providing thorough property assessments, personalized customer service, and top-notch craftsmanship. With years of experience in the industry, Coalition Restoration has built a notable reputation for having a team filled with skilled professionals and possessing the expertise to handle any roofing project, big or small. Visit their website today for a free roof assessment at www.coalitionrestoration.com or give them a call at 402-607-8186.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. You're listening to the Happy Hour.
Are you a big man? Huh? I'm talking to you. What?
With Nick Sainert
You wake up in the morning, you say, I put on my big boy pants. Look, I'm wearing a belt.
and Enrique Alvarez Clary.
You put on a little jacket, you go. You take your lunch because you got big boy pants on. You got your big boy pants and your snacks.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
I can say big loud things. I can be demonstrative.
Welcome back into the Happy Hour 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. Nick Sainert, Rico, Strick, and Austin with you guys now. Gentlemen, hello.
What up?
Hello. Happy Friday.
Happy
fellas.
Friday. It's been a week, hasn't it? Okay, so we got this question on the YouTube stream from Quinn, our guy. Quinn asks, do you guys think that we'll have a running back who can push to be on the same level of Roy Halou? He pointed out rushed for 307 yards back against Missouri way back when. I think that was 2010, potentially, if I remember correctly, when Blaine Gabbert and Missouri came here.
Yeah, because 2009 was the rain game.
Yeah, with
in
Sue
Columbia.
Yes,
and then
that's right.
2010 was the 3 long touchdowns.
That's right. Yeah. So that game for Roy, I mean, that was big. Now that's like not very many people can top that or get close to that 307.
I can name 2.
Who?
Wisconsin and Oklahoma State.
Okay, yes. Yeah.
And that happened against who?
Nebraska
God dang.
And Kansas.
We happen to be in that name.
Literally the next week.
Yeah.
Got broken. Samaje
Crazy.
Perine.
I know.
Ryan.
Yeah. Is Samaje still playing?
Yes.
I think so.
He's not with the Bengals anymore.
Isn't he with Hughes?
Not going to answer that because I'm not
He was
sure.
with the Broncos.
Broncos. That's right. Now that you say that, I do remember that.
That man has maybe the fullest beard I've ever seen in my life.
Isn't it great? Let me see. I'm a little jealous.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Stricky can't get there.
Because they had Samaje.
Yeah, I know.
The Bengals had Samaje Perine and Joe Mixon at the same time.
That's true.
Like,
That's
how does
true.
that work with your chin strap? Like,
I don't think it does it?
I don't
Think about
know,
the
bro.
sweat.
Yeah.
How itchy does that get?
Because like I even experienced it with the catcher's mask.
Okay. Yeah.
It wouldn't be the big, it'd be like the cloth ones, but it would just, I don't
Still,
know.
bro. I don't know how that works.
Or
That's-
your chin strap goes under, like behind your beard, and you got it like on your neck.
The Andrew Luck.
I just think like I even experienced it with a shorter beard because I can grow it decently full.
Can you? I want to see it.
I'm not going to.
Why?
Anyway, because I don't like full beards.
Nick, grow your beard until Nebraska loses.
I don't know, man. I don't know if I got that in me. I don't know. Anyway, that's beside the point. We can decide and think about that later. But like I would sweat underneath in my chin for like my catcher's mask. So I can't imagine something like that in a football helmet. Going at a much quicker rate than I'm. Okay, back to the running backs. I would say no, because I don't know if Nebraska is going to be giving the opportunity to guys to be able to do that. That's where I'm at.
It's a lot of carries.
It's a lot of carries, and I don't know if there's anything that I've seen from any of these players that lead me to believe that there's a Roy Haley in the room right now.
The only guy that we haven't seen is Dante Dowdle.
Dante Dowdle high school highlights.
Rico and I were watching, and that man was trucking some fools.
That man was a pro. 6 games into the season.
How big was Roy Haley? Not
He's probably my
huge.
size.
Not a massive human.
He's 5'11".
5'11".
Oh,
Is that your size?
no. I thought he's about my size. He's
So
5'11".
5'11" listed as...
That'd be about Emmett Johnson. I think Emmett Johnson's 5'10".
Yeah, Haley was thicker.
Yes. Oh, much, yeah.
Yeah.
So it'd be Emmett Johnson height, Dante Dowdle weight.
Girth.
Yeah. I mean, I just struggle to compare any Nebraska running backs currently to that early 2010s. I just struggle. And I always
Well, even you have to go back before that. You had Marlon Lucky and
Yes.
Brandon Jackson
Yeah,
on the roster at the same time.
How about a 5-star that transferred to Kentucky, Braylon Hurd? How about Aaron Green?
Aaron Green transferred to TCU.
Nice work.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Keep going.
There's a whole list of them that...
I'm trying to think of some more.
Come on, keep
I
going.
mean, shoot, like even Trey Bryant.
Trey Bryant
had
who
some talent.
He had to medically retire. Though.
Yeah.
Trey Bryant's up there. Greg Bell.
I was out on Greg Bell as soon as he hit midfield and then looked like he ran out of gas against Colorado.
Okay.
He was fine at San Diego State, to be fair.
Yeah,
but I was out on him at Nebraska after that very moment.
Divine Ozigbo?
Divine
turned into something, but I feel like Divine had basically he and Ramir had the same year. Divine just did it, for 12 games instead of 8.
Yep, you're right. I would agree. These were running backs that did not pan. I mean, like Amani Cross was fine, but it was big.
Better short yardage back, Amani Cross or Quentin Castile?
I like Quentin Castile
as a name.
I know, yeah, I do. I'm gonna lean Castile with that one. I mean, Amani though was not bad. I think those. I mean, it's frankly all just a blur, but. I think like it's easy for us because of our age, maybe not Strick, but easy for us because of our age.
Yes, Strick, name the running backs from your time.
No. But to think about like compare 2010s, early 2010s, because that was like us watching, like growing up watching.
Yeah.
I don't see a running back on this roster where I can feel comfortable comparing to any of those guys.
Not to say it couldn't happen, but right now with the way that things sit and what we do know about them, I can't help but agree.
I still have a lot of questions about that room. It's a lot of names that we know.
I do too.
But
I would absolutely
so
agree.
I think you know the names, but I don't want to confuse that with depth necessarily. You and I are at different places in the Gabe Ervin experience. You're out on Gabe Ervin.
I'm buying another ticket. I'm going again.
You can have my ticket. I hope the best for him. I don't know. I'm not confident in his ability to stay healthy. I think Ramir Johnson has caught in that weird in between where he's an okay running back and an okay receiver, but not so good that you have to keep him at one spot where he wins the job.
I've got all the Ramir Johnson stock.
Okay, it's all yours. I was hoping for a little more speed from Dowdle.
Yep.
Really, the pop came against the second stringers.
Yeah.
In the spring game, so I'm a little concerned about the top end speed there. And Emmett Johnson, I just want to see more. I can't say he's not going to be a good running back, but I don't know how Nebraska is going to utilize him if that's to his best strengths.
I just wonder, like, once again, how is Nebraska going to use them?
Yeah.
Because I think that's such a big part of it. Like, we saw Amir Abdullah break out, and it was because of Nebraska's identity. Yeah.
And he was also just a stud.
Yeah, he was a stud, but like so much of a running back. And this was one thing that like I always thought Dedrick Mills did an okay job at. Or maybe it was Anthony Grant. I think it was Dedrick Mills that he didn't get enough credit was the ability to make guys miss in the backfield. Dedrick Mills, and maybe this is just because the volume of carries wasn't there for Dedrick. I thought especially in the later part of his junior season or senior season, he didn't get enough respect in the ability to make guys miss in the backfield because Nebraska's offensive line broke down quite often where he was finding guys as soon as he got that ball handed off from whoever was playing quarterback, he had to make some sort of cut, some sort of move, make a guy miss, and then he could get his work done. That's where Nebraska, I think, has struggled extensively, where they've had guys in the backfield that if they're in open space, maybe they can have some breakaway potential. They have some speed. They have the size. But number one, they haven't held onto the ball consistently enough. Number two is that they haven't been able to make guys miss on their own. The blocking hasn't been good, sure, but they haven't been able to make something happen on their own either.
And some of that is you need power to break the tackle. Some of
You're
it's vision. Some of it's elusiveness. The guy that I think always did the best job of making the first guy miss or not bring him down in the backfield was Rex Burkhead.
Yes.
Right. You didn't bring Rex Burkhead down behind the line of scrimmage, right? His balance was so good. And I'm with you on Dedrick Mills. I think if he would have had one more year, he might have been a 1,000-yard guy. It's the way he played those last 4 or 5, maybe 6 games of that senior year. I thought there was more in Dedrick Mills. I think just took him time coming from that Georgia Tech triple option system to figure out what the keys were, what the cues were, get the eyes in the right spot. The talent was there, and you saw him really start to click. So that's one that I think is unfortunate that he ran out of eligibility when he did.
I mean, he ran for almost 800 yards and 10 touchdowns in that year right after he transferred into Nebraska. But then 2020 happened, and he wasn't able to, you only get 6 games in a season. Still went for like 4-point-some average. I was just looking at the stats, like 4-point-some average in those 6 games. He was averaging 5.2 the year before that. So if you were able to have a full season, who's to know what Dedrick Mills would have been able to do if you would have had him as that workhorse back. But I guess my question for you guys, and it's something that a lot of people don't like to hear, the phrase, the running back by committee. What's your guys' take on that? And I know we can't spend too much time on it because we do have to get to your guys' show.
Stricky?
I really don't have an answer for that, to be honest.
I would say
I really
this.
don't.
I would say this.
I don't know.
I'm not instantly out on it.
I really don't have
I don't know if Nebraska has a room to where this is one of the unknowns, right? That we're going to have to learn over the next couple of weeks.
I'm just watching.
I'm not sure how to categorize this room. I don't know if it is one where there can be a guy that has, we talked about it at Big Ten Media Days, like the 300 carries for Wisconsin running backs pretty consistently. That's not what I don't see that on Nebraska's roster. And that's okay. You can have a successful running game and season running the football in a traditional sense if it's done within the flow of the game. I just think Nebraska's lacked maybe decision makers on offense, whether that's in the form of players or coaches, to where they understand the flow and they understand how to divvy up carries and how, situational football. But once again, on the flip side is coaches can want to put guys in, but if they don't really want to put in the time and the effort and the work, then you can't really do anything. And everybody's hands are going to be tied. And then it shows up on Saturdays.
I'm not out on running back by committee either. I think Nebraska is past due to recruit and retain a running back that can just take over and be the guy who comes out for just a couple plays a game because he's, built to handle the workload. Where I worry a little bit is something that Strick and I have talked about quite a bit during On the Block, even dating back to last year, is the creativity, right? It seems like there are different body types in Nebraska's rooms. And if you're going to do it by committee, there's a very fine line between putting guys in the best position to succeed and being too easily scoutable when you're not talented enough to overcome it. That's just one natural disadvantage that the offense has over the defense, is that the offense has to sub first and the defense gets a chance to match, right? It's not offense sub, defense sub. Oh, offense gets to see what the defense is doing, then they get the last word. Defense gets the last sub. Always. Yeah. So if you're Nebraska and you're going to do it by committee, I don't know if Nebraska has enough well-rounded backs right now. They might try to do some things, but it might not be very successful. So if you're going to be by committee, I think that's because you have 2 guys who don't have any standout defining traits that you like to work in just to keep them fresh and keep them healthy. Whereas I think the run game and really the offense as a whole would be best suited would be to have one stud all-purpose back that can do anything that's you can't really game plan for.
Can we talk about Rex Burkhead?
Rex Burkhead, Amir, guys like that.
Yes.
And then for short yardage, that's where you're like, hey, we know that you have good vision. You can slip between tackles potentially, but we're at the 2-yard line. We're just going to go full speed ahead. Amani Cross, here's your moment.
Yeah.
Quentin Castile, here's your moment, right? Those guys, I wouldn't even call them rotational running backs. They were more situational running backs, right? But they could afford to do that because they were talented enough to overcome the defense knowing exactly what was coming, or being able to guess within, a handful of plays what was coming pretty consistently. Whereas right now, I don't think Nebraska is so talented to overcome the information advantage that it seems like the defense has.
My favorite thing about an offense is when you can line up in a goal line play like that, and it's the same play that you run every single time you need a single yard, and the defense knows, and they'll line up in the hole that you're going to go to, and they still can't stop you.
Mm-hmm.
That's what Nebraska, like, if you're not going to be, if you are going to be in that situation, find yourself in that situation, you need to have some type of go-to play where, look, we're going to do this. You can't stop us because we have perfected this, or just because we're better than you at getting to this point.
That's also talking about like the recruiting and what they need to identify. It hasn't even been like they've had a guy in the class that has gotten away from them.
Mm-hmm.
It's for the most part, their running back recruiting, the guys that they've really put in time, and it had, it's resulted in them being on campus when it's all said and done.
The one to watch out for is Kawan Lacey.
I would absolutely, I already have his profile pulled up. Ends up going to Missouri last year. Kawan Lacey was really, really good. There was a couple of other SEC schools, Ole Miss being one of them, that was really heavily in on him. I just think, I think it's important that you brought up the recruiting piece of it, because frankly, they have gotten the guys, and they haven't. I went through all their decommitments, and they haven't lost any. Kawan Lacey's the one. Him and Thomas Grayson a couple of years ago, who was very low in the rankings, ends up going to Kansas State. It was kind of one of those situations, if I remember correctly, where it was like, all right, we needed to make some space. This is a guy we can say, okay, we got to move on from you. Go find some other opportunity. We'll figure it out on our own. For the most part, they've brought in guys. It's been maybe identifying the talent.
So that was going to be my next question. Is Nebraska identifying the right guys, or is Nebraska not developing them? Right. I don't know if you can tell, because it hasn't taken off. At this point, it's probably both to some degree.
Yes.
But you can at least make an argument for what Nebraska sees in these guys, but then it doesn't pan out when they get to campus. You look at the offer list for some of these guys. It's not like Nebraska is going completely under the radar with these guys.
Right.
Like Quentin Ives is probably the exception here. Emmett Johnson, maybe some lower tier offers before he got here, but Dante Dowdell was at Oregon.
Yeah.
Right. You can't tell me that if Oregon wanted a guy, I mean, I guess other schools missed too, but I think Dante Dowdell was kind of in the Trey Palmer boat, buried behind some really good players on that Oregon roster. I think Dan Lanning's done a good job of constructing that roster. If he doesn't pan out at Nebraska, I don't think that's going to be an identification miss. Maybe that's an identity miss, or maybe that's a development miss. But I don't know which to blame more, identification or development right now.
And that's the thing is I think it's going to be tough to do. And that's like the thing is, once again, it's like, how do you judge the running backs coach? I struggle with that at certain positions of like the running backs coach. Like, how much of it does fall on EJ Barthel to identify the right talent? How much of it does it fall on Marcus Satterfield to call plays that fit? And how much of a pulse does he have on the running back room as specific to be able to have these conversations of like, okay, which guy gives us the best opportunity here in this specific situation? I think there's a lot of different ways that you can go in that conversation. I think that's really good. I want to maybe continue that on Monday if we can. Because right now is the time that we can talk about it and go, okay, what's it going to look like in the future, which is just 2 weeks away, UTEP and Nebraska. What's coming up on the show today, gentlemen?
College football breakout quarterbacks and some other breakout players. ESPN put a list out. How important is it for Nebraska to land legacy players? Iowa got one. AJ Epinesta's little brother commits. He's in the class of 25 for the Hawkeyes. Nebraska reeled in a pretty good crop of legacy commits. We'll get into that in hour number 2, and then some NFL breakout sleepers and Marcus Satterfield clips as well.
There it is. All that and more coming up in just a few moments on the block with Strick and Austin. Hey, shout out to my former classmate, Charlie Easley. He gets signed professionally by a team over in Spain, obviously walked on at Nebraska.
Hola, Carlos.
That's right. Walked on at Nebraska, then transferred to South Dakota State. Holy smokes. And he ends up getting signed by a professional team over in Spain. So shout out to Charlie Easley, Pius 10th grad, former Husker walk-on as well, and former Jackrabbit. Don't go anywhere. On the block with Strick and Austin coming up next. Have a great weekend.
Adios. Ready to add a dash of Southern flavor to your week? At Wings and Rings, their brand new Southern fried wings have arrived for a limited time. Indulge in the irresistible goodness of large, traditional bone-in wings coated in a crispy beer batter and fried to perfection. Try them with hot honey or any other sauces. And for those busy summer days coming up, look no further than their Southern Fried Wings Family Bundle. Wings and Rings, 2 Lincoln locations on O Street or Village Lane.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and Truck Month is back. We have absolutely gigantic savings right now at Koppel. They are offering $12,500 off on select new pickups. That is not a mistake. You heard right. $12,500 off list price right now on select new pickups. Those discounted units, though, will not last long. These are all manager specials. You have to come in now, so hurry in down 144th Street or shop online at koppelcars.com. You'll be glad you did. Stock number G35609. 93 must trade.
All right, it's time for Final Jeopardy. It's been a tight contest today that all comes down to this final question. No summer picnic or family get-together or trip to the lake is complete without this particular item. Let's go first to Bob.
What is beer?
No, that's not it. Think about the kids. Over to you, Farley.
What is corn on the cob?
Tough to grill that on a boat. Wrong again. Grace, this time for the win.
What is Bure's cheese spread?
We have a winner! Bure's cheese spread, available in most local grocers in Nebraska.
Perch Merch is your one-stop shop for all your printing and promotional needs in Lincoln, Nebraska. They specialize in screen printing, embroidery, vehicle wraps, window wraps, print collateral, promotional products, and signage. At Perch Merch, they are committed to delivering high-quality products and exceptional customer service. Their experienced team of designers and printing professionals will work with you every step of the way to ensure that your vision is realized. Call for a quote today at 402-217-5212 or go to perch-merch.com.
Your sprinklers are watering the street or flooding your backyard. If you're on a list that doesn't exist, it's time for Judson Irrigation. At Judson Irrigation,